Hi there everyone, it's Brent from Pathandtarot, the content creator for the YouTube channel as well as the webmaster for the Pathandtarot blog. So in this video we're going to look at the Italian card game called Scopa, or for the English word, sweep. It's a two-player card game that is based on trick-taking rules. So trick-taking rules we found in the game in the previous video, Wizard, as well as in French Tarot. So the trick-taking method is different in all the games, of course, but the method of trick-taking is consistent between these three decks, Scopa, Wizard, and the French Tarot deck that we've seen previously. So I found that to be an interesting theme to explore a little bit. And in this video, we're going to look at the cards themselves. We're going to open up the package, look at the rules. I'll actually teach you the rules because they're fairly easy to understand. I'll play a little bit with you. I'll play both hands and show you some how the mechanics work and a little bit of strategy. And then to keep in line with the ongoing research and learning that we're doing on the channel is play Beat the Devil with these cards. Because really it's just a pack of 40 cards. You've got 10 cards per suit, and you'll be able to play Beat the Devil with that no problem. And if we theorize before we play, it should be easier because you have less cards in play. So to use all the cards, it shouldn't be too difficult to do that. So that's my prediction before we get into it. So we'll go through that on camera with you. We can take a moment to take in the new color. We've got a new look on the channel with this bed sheet, so I thought that was cool to mention, as well as new camera angles to play around with. I've got the camera here looking down at us. So that's kind of cool. The channel's changing a little bit as we enter the new year, 2020, new decade, actually, I guess. But I digress. So I got these cards during the holidays, around December, to play with my family. So I've already opened the cards. So this isn't really an unboxing video because I've already removed the shrink wrap. But I've got all the components of what came with the package. So I'll open that and I'll be able to show you everything that's in here. The game rules are in here too. So I'll have the game rules in front of you as I work with you so that I can maintain a high level of accuracy, or at least try to. And we'll look at the cards, talk about them very briefly, play with them in a mock game with you on camera, and then we'll try and do a little bit of Beat the Devil and see how that works out. But before we get into it, let's look at the packaging. Tell me, where have you seen those symbols before? And if you say tarot, well, then you'd be absolutely correct. So you've got cups, pentacles, swords, and wands. So isn't that interesting that we have similar symbols found in an Italian card game? Isn't that cool that you can look at the concept of just tarot, playing cards, and how consistent it is through various card games and history as well too. These are older card games that have been passed down through generations. Playing cards are an old type of game tool. So just thinking about those types of ideas in the grand scheme of history, I think it's very interesting. There's a lot to be said about how symbols get carried forward through generations, used over and over to mean certain things. So when I saw these cards in the store, actually, I found them. I think it was in Walmart, and the symbols just struck me immediately. I'm thinking, oh, those are tarot symbols. Maybe I should get this. It felt like the cards were calling to me in a weird way, but so there's something to be said about that immediately, and that's why I feel that these cards are relevant on this channel because of that, even though this is a card game that is not really related to tarot, but the symbols are, and I think that's fascinating. So here we are with the Scopa cards, or sweep if we use the English word, but we're going to stick with the Italian name Scopa. Great little card game, so let's open it up and see what we have. Like I said, there's no shrink wrap on this. so we won't have to deal with that. We'll just let the cards kind of all spill out here. I think that's all. So there's the cardboard. I always like talking about the design. You know, you probably know that if you've seen these videos. I appreciate how cards, or at least the packaging gets put together. I think there's an art to that. You know, I feel that that's always interesting to look at. So it's just a small little package. It has, whoops, the card's already exploded all over the place. That's okay, I just moved them. So it's got this like little insert that fits in there, you know. Yeah, I like looking at that. I think that's interesting. So here's all of the cards that come with the game. This was all shrink wrapped originally, so I'm just going to parse out the Scopa cards. So these are the Scopa cards. I'll put them right here. And then these are the game instructions right here, the English version. I'm just going to lay them out in front of me where you can't see them off camera. Camera magic. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. Okay, and we have these basically scoring cards. This will all kind of make sense in a little bit when we start talking about the game rules. So these are kind of just like cheat sheets, I guess. If you run out of these, or if you use these up or write on them or destroy them or lose them, you could probably make your own. So they're just the mock, and then there's another set of 2 cards. I always like to look at these extra cards that come in decks. You know, it kind of shows who the publisher and manufacturer are. Sorry, I've still have to master these new camera angles. Yeah, if you can see that. There you go. Yeah, that's enough. So yeah, you've got, you know, these manufacturer cards. I always find that interesting, you know, just to see what those cards really are, and maybe they mean something. There's also another game that you can play with the Scopa cards called Briscola. But we're just going to stick with the Scopa game because I think it's just a more interesting game to play. But you've got 2 games that you can play with the Scopa cards. So I thought that was kind of cool. Okay, so yeah, well, let's talk about the cards first. There's the back design. If you can, well, actually, we'll see the cards in a second. I don't need to show you the cards, but let's just take a moment to talk about the size of the card. I've got a bicycle card deck here. This is the green version. It's like the eco version where the hearts are green. I think that's kind of cool. I think this is sort of like the eco version. I think it was. That's what it was called. It came in a different package. So the Scopa cards are literally the same size as the bicycle playing cards. This is the model. What's the name of this model? Bicycle. So it's a bicycle 808 model. You can see that's just the style of card. So it's really the same size as a bicycle playing card deck, like almost like literally the exact same size, maybe off by like a few bits. It's hard to even tell on camera. Yeah, they're almost the same size. I thought that's kind of interesting. So the cards are going to feel familiar in your hand already, because I can't, you know, I imagine that you've probably held a pack of bicycle playing cards. You know, one of the most, if not the most common. Oh, something just fell off the table there. That's okay. They're you know, the most common playing cards out there. They're everywhere. So that's pretty cool. So here's the cards. They're fairly glossy. They slide fairly easily. They feel nice on this new bed sheet cloth on the circular table. So I guess that's all we can say about the cards. Kind of like how the Wizard cards are. The backing is, I guess it's kind of tacky. I don't know. I kind of like. I've always liked the symmetries and the weird symbols of bicycle playing cards and other playing card decks. This is sort of, yeah, I don't know. You be the judge. I mean, it does look kind of cool. But I guess if you were to play with, you know, Scopa and Wizard, once you start matching the tackiness, then it starts to make more sense, and the aesthetic of the backing starts to come together, I guess. So yeah, if you had these Scopa cards near your Wizard cards, I guess it would the tackiness would match. You know, if you know what I mean. If you start to match tackiness, it makes sense, and that's a theme in this game. You're matching cards anyway, so maybe there's something to be said about that. I'm just going to shuffle the cards real quick, and we'll get into the game. So the premise of the game is you're going to be playing multiple plays, and you're just going to have different rounds, and the first person who gets 11 points wins the game. And so you're going to be playing through a number of sessions basically, and there are various ways to collect points, which you can see on this card. If you get a Scopa, you get a point. If you get the most cards, you get a point. If you get dinero, which means you get the most coin cards, you get a point. If you get the 7 coin card, you get a point. So that's a very important card in the game. And if you get a primera, you get a point. To get a primera, you basically count up all the cards you've collected using this scoring system. You judge how many points you get. So there's a point for most cards and a primera. So you may be able to get a primera if you don't have the most cards. So there's 6 different, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, so there's 5 different ways to score a point during a round. So that's kind of interesting. You know, just looking at those mechanics, I feel that that's pretty cool. So let's get into it. How it works is the dealer goes first. A play starts with the dealer moves clockwise, so we'll go dealer and then the other player. So you both get 3 cards, and then there are, I'm just reading the thing. There are 4 cards laid face up in the middle of the table, so I'll try my best to, I'll move these cards over so we can try and get everything into the frame here. So you just deal 4 cards in the middle of the table. I don't, you know, it doesn't matter what order it happens. If you deal this first, and you can choose any order, I guess. Sometimes people can be sticklers on that if there's a specific meaning to how you acquire your cards, you know. But I don't know. You know, I get deep into the rules because you know, I always find that you do something like, you know, even dealing out the cards. Like, well, what order did we deal out the cards? You know, sometimes that matters, but I only mention that because we're talking about that stuff. Okay, so there's the cards. So we're gonna do a mock game. Maybe I'll move that forward a bit. There we go. So we can. I've got the preview camera right here, so I can see what I'm seeing. Okay, so there you go. All right, so we've got our hands. So how this works is the round goes until there's no more cards left. If you've exhausted all 3 cards in your hand, you just get another 3 cards, and you just keep going until the cards are done, and then you count up points based on, you know, these conditions here. So most cards, you get a point. Primera, counting up your cards, you get a point. Most coins are important, you get a point. If you get the 7 coin, that's a point. And if you've got a Scopa, you can get a point. You can get multiple Scopas too, if you were lucky. So this player will, oh no, sorry, this starts with a dealer. So what we're doing is basically matching cards. So there's 3 ways to do a match. You can do a single number match, means that you have to have a literal match of a card. So if we were to just, as an example, just do that and switch, we would match these 2 cards and take them. But that's not part of our hand originally, it was this. So if we can't do a match, our another option is a combination match. If a player, say, if they had a 6 in their hand, they can pick up a 4 and a 2, or any combination of 2 cards would be a combination match example. And so you can only do a combination match if you don't have a single number match, or, you know, a literal match, you could say. And so it's only 1 card in your hand for 2 cards in the field. That's how it would work for the combination match, or that's at least my interpretation with the rules here. Maybe you can change house rules and have multiple cards equal 1 card. But that's getting close to what a Scopa is, and that's what we'll talk about now. So Scopa means sweep in Italian. So if you have a card in your hand that equals the whole table of cards, then you sweep it, you collect it. So say, for example, you had the 8, and there was 3, 2, 2, and a 1. For the 4 cards, you would get all those 4 cards, and you'd sweep. So you would get not only a lot of cards, you would get the Scopa points. So getting a Scopa is very valuable. So you want to make it so that you're not letting your opponent get a Scopa. And so if you can't do anything with the cards in your hand, you would discard a card into the playing field. So you would discard that, and then your turn is over and it goes to the next player. And again, like I said, you keep going until you run out of cards. In your hand, you get 3 cards. Sorry, I just had some water there, my trusty water bottle that saves me during these videos, because talking is difficult, and especially doing it all in one take. This is the one take thing. That's how we do it on this channel. Okay, so it's this player's turn. We've been sort of discussing the rules already. We can't really do anything. We've got a 5. That makes a 9, 6. So yeah, we can't really do anything. So we're gonna have to discard a card. So let's put a 5 into the thing here. So we've got a literal match, a single card match, and it's also a coin. So that's valuable. So we'll take the 10. It's this player's turn here. We've got an 8, so a 5 and a 3. So let's use the coin card to collect a 5 and a 3 for that many cards. So now it's this player's turn. So we've got, let's use our 3 coin. That's great. We've got a literal match. So let's go back to this player. So I can't really do anything here. You discard, so then you would get 3 more cards for that player, and so this player can't do much. Discard that, they get 3 more cards. So now it's this player, so we've got a 1 here, 4. So you can't really do much, unfortunately. You've got 10, 8, 6, 4, 4, 4, and 1. So just a note, you can't use 2 cards to make a match here. It has to be 1 card for 2 in the middle. That's what it says. That's how it describes the combination match example. If a player has a 6 in their hand, they may pick up 4 and a 2 from the table, or any combination of cards that adds up to 6, 5, 1, 3, 3. And it's only done if you don't have a single card match. And if you have a Scopa, you choose Scopa over any of the other matching possibilities. So in this case, we don't really have much to work with. We'll probably save the 1. Let's not discard the 1 because it's a coin. You want to keep coins, right? Because that's going to be for the dinero point. 4. Let's put a 4 in. Oh, so now we've got a matching 4. So there you go. And so already this player has collected more cards, has more coins than this player. So we could say that this player is in the lead. And that's really the basis of the game. Once all the cards get collected, you're really just counting up your points to see if you've got a Primera. Whoever's got the 7 coins gets a point. Whoever has the most coins gets a point. Whoever has the most cards gets a point. And whoever got a Scopa gets a point. So that's really all there is to it. It's pretty simple. We've already kind of discussed a little bit of strategy. You want to keep your coins, make sure you got the 7. So this player has the 7, so I'd want to keep this as much as possible, or be able to use it, so I'm collecting it. And that's really all there is to it. I don't want to go through a whole game. I'll leave that to you, because that's the fun of it. I don't want to spoil all the fun on this channel. But we are going to have fun. So let's play Beat the Devil with this deck. I think that's going to be... I'm kind of getting anxious on camera to do that. So let's get into it. But you can see already at least who's in the lead. I think that's kind of important to figure out. So this player is probably going to win that round and have the most points. They'll probably get a few points, and you'll end up playing, you know, a few rounds at least, you know, 3 to 4 rounds. So to get a set of 11 points, you could probably play for about maybe 20 minutes, maybe something like that. So this game is definitely something you can play for a little while. Waste about an hour maybe, or not waste, utilize. Okay, so here we got the 40 cards. Let's try and beat the devil and see how long it takes. So we know that with a 52 card deck, your odds of beating the devil are about 1 in 10. So with a 40 card deck, I wonder what that would be. I can't really math with you on camera like this, but it should be a higher percentage to win instead of a 1 in 10, which is about 10%. I think I can math that pretty well. I want to shuffle the cards pretty good. I like to get a good shuffle. Get a good shuffle in. Okay, so that's enough. So let's play it. So to recap the rules of Beat the Devil is you've got your deck of cards. The goal is to use up this whole deck. And you're going to be placing cards into up to 8 piles. So we've already got 2 piles used out of the possible 8. So we start by drawing the first 2 cards. If they match, you just draw a card on top of each of the card, and then you would keep playing. So you're basically just finding matches, you know, almost similar to the Scopa rules. Maybe we can incorporate some of the Scopa rules into Beat the Devil with these cards in the future. But that's dealing with, you know, house rules, making changes. But that's the point of this channel too, right? So, you know, we're already in real time kind of thinking about how can I borrow the game rules of the original Scopa game and use them in different ways. Because what I like to think about is, okay, you've got a 2-player card game, but not always do you have another person around. So how can you use the cards in different ways that somehow connect to the game in some way, or at least use the same cards and all that. So back to the Beat the Devil rules. We don't have any pairs. Sometimes you can get up to 3 or 4 of a kind in play, but that's sort of rare, but it does happen, so you look out for that. We don't have a pair here, so we're going to open another card into play. So nothing, no matches. We got a 9, got an 8, nothing there. We got a 6, a 5. So now we've got our first match. So how this works is you just put a card on top of the matches. So another quick trick is that you have to place the cards on top of the match to have a chance to interact with the other cards. So what I mean by that is if I was to place this card first, it's a 4. I can't make any moves until I cover the other pair. So you have to do that in succession. Sometimes if you're going quickly, there may be a hesitation to use other cards. So I just wanted to note that, because that's kind of sometimes there's gray areas with rules where you kind of, once you know the rules, you think, well, what about this, what about that? So I like to mention those things as I talk about game rules. So that's our first match. So we've got 4s now, so there's really no other possibility. And we've got a 1, so there we go. So that's another match. So there we go. We placed those, and now we've got 2 9s and 2 6s. So we've got two matches. Now, for the rules, actually, sorry, we played this wrong. We have to use the 4s. So we already kind of bumbled up a little bit. That's okay. We'll play it again. I was talking with you on camera, so I wasn't really paying too much attention. But you have to use your pairs before you open up a new slot. That's another thing. You can't just open up a new slot and keep going. You got to use the pairs that are there. I just didn't realize that I wasn't really paying attention, so that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with making mistakes, and making a mistake allows you to learn from the mistake as well too. Those are cool things. You know, always got to be learning. So okay, so now that we know the rules, we're gonna play again, maybe a little bit quicker, and then we can kind of get through it. So 2 and 8, nothing. Got a 2, so there's our first pair. We got nothing there. We've got a 9, 8, so there's our next pair. 8, 6, 9. As you notice, the 8s, 9s, and 10s are similar to the court cards, right? Jack, Queen, King, except they're more similar to maybe a Jack, a Valet, and a King, similar to the French tarot. So let's just keep going because we've got no more pairs. So here's our next pair, the 10. Let's do that. So we've got 8s. So there's our next set of pairs. So the 7s. 1, 2, 3, 4. So no, we don't really have anything there. So let's open up our next pile. 5. Yeah, it's cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But still nothing. So here's our last slot. So we don't have any other pair possibilities. So this is the only option, is to have our last pair or slot open up. And luckily we get a pair. And that gives us our 5s and 9s. So here we've got 2 pairs. You get to choose which one you want to cover. Sometimes there's strategy involved. If you've seen cards come up more frequently and you're sort of in the middle of the round, then you may want to choose one pair of the other. But in this case, I haven't really been paying too much attention because I've been explaining the rules with you here. So let's just choose the 5s to cover them. And so we did that. Now we've got 4s and 9s. So again, we can choose which one to cover. I don't know, I feel like we should cover the 4s and leave the 9s open. And so now we've got another pair of 3s and 9s. So I feel like we got to keep these 9s active for some reason. I don't know. So here we go. So this is cool. Maybe this is working out. Keeping these 9s active is maybe a strategy. So we've got the 1s there, and that gave us 6s. No, we got 3 6s actually. So let's cash in on those 3 6s. Cover, cover, cover. So again, you know, we got to cover the cards, however many, before we start to make other matches. Okay, so let's see. We've got 9 9 9 3 3. So let's do these 9s now. Let's cover them. Is that a 9? Yeah, it is. Okay, just gotta double check because I did make a mistake earlier, right? So. There we go. So what do we have here? We've got 2s, 10s, excuse me, 3s. Let's cover the 3s. I feel like we should do that. So, okay, 7s. Let's cover the 7s. 5s. Oh, well, there we go. So we beat the devil on the first try, or second try actually, because the first round we kind of bumbled up the rules a little bit. And we beat the devil the second time, so that was 1 for 2. So far, 50% chance at beating the devil. That ain't so bad. That's kind of interesting. So the less cards we have, the higher the chance of winning, especially when we're dealing only with 8 slots, which does make it difficult with a 52-card playing deck. Let's play again. Let's have another round. Let's shuffle up the cards. Nice and good. Let's see if we can get this 50% statistic consistent. Because wouldn't that be cool, you know, knowing that you've got a 50% chance of winning Beat the Devil with only 40 cards. Because here's the thing. What's stopping you from removing all the court cards in a playing card deck and just using 1 through 10 on the 4 suits? So if you didn't have a Scopa deck, you can use a playing card deck to play the same rules of Scopa. I feel a little bad saying that in this video because I'm holding the Scopa deck. You know, I do want you to have this deck if you feel that it would be a nice addition to your collection, and it really would be. But I also like to advocate found objects, you know, reusing objects too. If you've got a playing card deck, just remove the court cards, Jack, Queen, and King, and just have those. And so you're playing with 40 cards. And actually we'll do that in this video. I was sort of preparing or sort of figuring out a way that I can introduce that in this sort of live video, and here we are. So I kind of let the cat out of the bag. So you can play Scopa without a Scopa deck. Maybe the makers of Scopa wouldn't like to hear that, but you know what? You gotta help people out when you can too. If you don't have any extra money and you've only got a playing card deck, well, guess what? You don't get to have a Scopa deck. Plus, it's nice to just be able to keep one deck and just have a variety of things you can do with just one deck of cards, you know, instead of having many deck of cards. If you're traveling too, that's another thing to consider, is if you're traveling, you're not going to be able to take a lot of stuff with you. At most, maybe you can take a few deck of cards, but really, it's nice to be able to know rules in your head and be able to play a variety of games with just one stack of cards. But because, you know, we're here, this is my place, I can have a variety of cards. And I think I like these cards because, you know, again, we're talking about the symbology or symbols of tarot. So there we go. That's kind of my weave around promotional talk. I don't know. Anyways, okay, so let's play another game of Beat the Devil. There we go. Put it there. 2, 5, 7, 6, 10, 10, match, 10s. 9, 8, no, nope, nothing. 3, 4. So we didn't get, we lost. Let's see, let's just double check. Yeah, we lost. So let's collect the cards again. So why don't we play Beat the Devil with these green playing cards? Let's do that for a second. I like these cards. If you know the history of these cards, you can see they're sort of gnarly. If you can look at the edges, they're not in the best shape. Actually, they're still in pretty good shape. They feel really nice because they've been broken in, but I've had these cards for quite a long time. Just think, 6 years now, I guess, because this is the pack of cards that I learned to play Beat the Devil on. So I want to try and keep these cards for as long as I can. So there we go. So I've already, if you didn't know, I've already removed the court cards in the pile because I knew we were going to do this. So there's all the court cards. So you've got 12 of them. Another thing you could do is if you were playing Beat the Devil with 40 cards, you could have a point system using the other cards. You know, flip over a card if you won the round, and you know, having just 12 cards gives you a limitation on how many rounds you can play to, I don't know, keep things interesting, keep score instead of just playing infinitely. You can lose track, but it's nice to keep track of things. So let's play a game of Beat the Devil with my original Beat the Devil cards. So let's see, nothing so far. 1, 2, 3, so 3s. 9, no. 7. 5s. Here we go. The aces. Let's do 2s. 2s. Oh, there we go. So we got a triple. We got 3 9s. That's pretty cool. You don't see that too often. So let's see, what do we have? Just got the 4s. Let's do the 4s. Oh, aces. So now we got 3 7s. That's pretty cool. 7s. 4s, 6s. I'm feeling like we should cover the 6s. I know we've got 8s here. Cover the 8s. We've got a 10. Let's cover the 10. Oh, we got more 10s. Let's cover those because there's no more of them. 5s. 8s. Alright, well, we won. There you go. So the odds of winning Beat the Devil with 40 cards are clearly, we can see already, about 50%. That's kind of cool. So your odds of winning dramatically increase the less amount of cards you have. So you could also maybe insert a few cards, you know, say put in only the jacks or only the queens, something like that to increase your chances of winning, change the game a little bit, keep things interesting for you as the solo player. So but that's really cool to learn, is to know your chances of winning a card game. Solitaire, I don't know the chances of winning solitaire. You know, there's so many versions of solitaire, but that's a hard one to actually play with play with on your own. But Beat the Devil with 52 cards is about a 1 in 10 chance, and it seems like playing with 40 cards, or say a Scopa deck, if you will, it's about 1 in 2, 50%. Pretty cool. So 60 cards with the wizard cards, referring to the last video we did. So I guess the chance will be a little bit higher. I guess we'd have to play through those cards and see. But I would have to feel that we would... Oh, there's our first pair. I'm just talking with you. I'm not really paying attention. My bad. So 1, 2, 3, 7, 7, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6, 9. Oh wait, hold on. Did we get? Was that 3 9s? Yes, it was. So 3 9s. So 10. We're doing pretty well already. Look at this. This is pretty cool. 3, 7, 6, 2, 1, 5. Okay, there we go. Ooh, actually maybe spoke too soon, right? There we go. We're doing really good. Now we're not doing so well. 1, 2, 3. Come on, 8. Ooh, you lost. Yeah, there you go. I guess we won't play too much more. We've already, I guess, illustrated the possibility of playing Beat the Devil with a Scopa deck. Absolutely, you can do it. So if you get your hands on a Scopa deck, you have many uses for it, as well as the original card rules. And building on the tradition of just playing card decks, you have a few more games that you could play with these cards as well. So if you've only got a few playing card decks, then you can build your repertoire and be a game master. There's something interesting to be said about being able to have a lot of games in your repertoire, entertain yourself, entertain others, because I think that's a good skill. Maybe we'll talk about that very quickly as we leave you. Another guiding principle that I feel is important to investigate is the idea of gamesmanship, being a game master. You know, the webmasters are in charge of publishing content on the web, controlling the website. A game master, or a dungeon master, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, they're in control of the how the game unfolds. The game master is in control of how the games work and entertaining people. That's a valuable skill. If you're looking at a family unit, who's the person that kind of knows the most games? Can a group of people be entertained for a certain amount of time? Playing board games, I see a lot of value in that, just in terms of being able to interact in real, with real people, basically. Comparing that to a video game setting. Not saying video games are bad in any way, it's just they're different. You get a different experience when you interact with people over a pack of cards. And you get to talk and joke around, just hang out basically. So yeah, I find cards to be valuable in that way. And just sharing my opinion like that openly, I think is interesting. Just putting that out there in the world. At least I know that that's the reason I'm doing this channel and playing with all these cards. Is I appreciate the skill of knowing a lot of games and collecting cards. That's what I enjoy. So I hope that gives you value, and I hope you enjoyed your time here with this video. I'm not sure how long this video is. It feels like we went a little while. I've got an hour and a half of memory on the camera, or about an hour and 20 minutes, I should say. So maybe we made it about halfway. So if you've stuck around that far, thank you so much, for your viewership. And I hope there's things in this video that helped you. With what you're searching for. Perhaps you're looking for a card game, and I hope that this gave you something to work with. I'll leave the Amazon links for both the bicycle cards as well as the Scopa deck. And I guess this sort of serves as a disclaimer for the Amazon Associates program. That's what helps maintain the channel and website as well too, you know, because we do get commission if you were to buy through these Amazon links. And they're also here to be informative too. You know, I have them there for ease of use, so that if you're here in the video and you go down to the description, you can click on the link and you can at least see the product. You know, you can read reviews on it. There's reviews on Amazon. Amazon itself is a fantastic platform, and there's a lot to be said about it, you know, in this day and age. But I feel they're at least there to be informative. So it's not something that, you know, I don't want to make you feel obligated to buy the cards for any reason. But if at the very least they're there for your convenience, so that you can go look at them and, you know, see what the price is. I won't be able to quote prices because prices always change, but there'll be a bicycle deck and a Scopa deck ready for you to click and check out. Then there'll be I'll put some links to my blog as well for other notable articles or related content to keep you going with that. Okay, so I guess that's it. I don't know if I can, if there's much more to talk about. We've covered everything I wanted to in this video. So again, I'll go back to the, I'll do another round of thank yous as we leave off the video. So thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.